Welcome students to the online lecture on town planning. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss mass and rapid transportation systems. For example, BRTS, Bus Rapid Transport System, LRTS, that is the Light Rail Transport System, and Metro Rail. So first we'll try and understand the term urban mass transportation. So as you know, cities play a vital role in promoting economic growth and prosperity of a nation. So the development of large cities mainly depends upon their physical and social and institutional infrastructure. Transportation demand in most Indian cities has increased substantially due to an increase in population, mainly because of natural reasons and due to migration from rural areas to urban areas. So people from small towns and rural areas are migrating more and more into the urban areas or the cities. So that is why there is an influx of population in these cities. Now, this population that lives in the cities need to make communications networks mainly because of various reasons, maybe because of going to work, going for recreation, or going to avail various facilities. So, in simple terms, people need to move around in the city. Therefore, with the increasing pace of urbanization, the need for transportation is also ever increasing. So, this is where urban mass transportation comes into play. It can transport a mass of people in a single trip. You can call urban mass transportation as urban transit, mass transit, or even public transportation. It includes systems that are available for use by all the persons who pay for that established fare of that particular system. And these modes, which operate on fixed routes and with fixed schedules, include bus, light rail transit, metro, regional rail, and several other public transport systems. Next, we will understand the various modes of transportation and the share of public transport amongst them. So here in this table, you can see the modal split for six Indian cities: Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, Bangalore, and Hyderabad. And we have various modes of transportation, that is walking, cycling, two wheelers, public transport, car, intermediate, paratransit. So these are the various modes through which transportation is being done in these cities, and the total number of trips are amounting to 100%. So, as you can see in Delhi, only 20% of the total trips are through walking, 12% are through cycling, 5% are through two wheelers, and 14% through private cars, and 6% through intermediate paratransit. But you can see that public transport has the largest share, that is the 43%. Similarly, for other cities also, you can see the largest share of transportation mode is through public transport. So, despite seeing that the major modal split for these cities is public transport, still we have this car or vehicle oriented approach in these cities, which is currently being followed, which is not right. In this kind of approach, we have these low volume cars, which are given higher priority rather than the public transport system or the non motorized vehicles, or uh, as compared to the pedestrian traffic. So the pedestrian traffic is given the least priority, which has the highest volume in these cities. Similarly, we need to reverse this trend towards a new approach, that would be people oriented approach, where the pedestrians would be given the highest priority because they have the highest volume, and the non motorized vehicles like cycling. Thereafter, we can have the public transport systems, and the least priority or the lowest priority should be given to the private cars or the motorized vehicles, which are low in. So here in this slide, we can see on our right that as the income increases, people switch from public transport to use of motor vehicles to motorized two wheelers, old cars, and then they switch to use of private cars. So at the top of the pyramid, we have the use of private cars. In the middle of the pyramid, we have the use of motorized two-wheelers or old cars. And at the bottom of the pyramid, we have the public transportation system. So in order to effect the shift from private transport to public transport, we can target the middle section of this pyramid, that is the people who are using the motorized two wheelers or old cars. So that is the target group, because the top part of the pyramid, the people who are using the privately owned cars, they are captive to the car, or they cannot think of any other mode than the car, because they are comfortable with that only and they don't want to leave that comfort. So public transportation, the only issue with it that it should be affordable. Affordability is important, so that people can at the middle of the pyramid, that is the those who are using the two wheelers or old cars, that target group can shift to this public transport if it becomes affordable and the quality is also maintained, because the that middle section, as you can see, is for them quality is very important. So the quality of transportation system in public transport is very important, as well as the affordability. Here are the major aspects in travel demand, that is the land use and the trip purpose. Land use, as you know, it refers to the pattern of land usage in a particular area, and land use affects transportation demand by trip generation and distribution of trips. Similarly, trip purpose, which refers to the purpose for which a particular trip is being undertaken, and it is a movement from origin to destination. For example, you have a residential land use, and a few kilometers apart, you have this commercial land use. So people might undertake a trip from this residential land use to commercial land use for the purpose of their work or job. So this kind of trip movement is called the trip purpose, and the distance between origin and destination is called the trip length. The time taken for commuting is known as the trip time. Factors affecting travel demand are socioeconomic factors, locational factors, public transport accessibility factors. Socioeconomic factors, we understand that depending upon the socioeconomic profile of the commuters, the travel demand might change. Then locational factors also, we have seen that with the changes in land use and the relationship between these various land uses, the locational factor affects the travel demand. Similarly, public transport accessibility factors such as nearness to public transport facility, efficiency and reliability of public transport, fare structure and the routing and frequency of public transport. So these are the various accessibility factors that affect the travel demand. Similarly, we have factors affecting choice of travel mode. So these are purpose of trip, distance traveled, income of traveler, or the occupational status of the traveler. Urban mass transit system may be divided into two types. First is the road based transit systems, second is the rail based transit systems. Under the road based transit systems, it involves buses, coaches, city buses, commuter buses, or the bus rapid transit systems. Whereas under the rail based transit systems, we have these trains, commuter rails, suburban rails, metro trains, monorails, light rail transit system, or the sky rail. Rapid transit systems in India consist of bus, metro, monorail, and light rail systems. So basically, it is a type of high capacity public transport system that is generally found in urban areas. Transit systems operate on an exclusive right of way, which is usually grade separated in tunnels or either on elevated railways. Rapid transit systems history in India dates back to 1984, when for the first time the first rapid transit system in India was introduced in Kolkata Metro. Then in 2006, Pune was the first city in India to have a bus rapid transit system. And then thereafter in 2014, the Mumbai monorail which opened on 2nd February 2014, was the first operational monorail system in India. So, under the road based transit systems, we have the BRTS, or the Bus Rapid Transit System, which is also named as High Capacity Bus System, HCBS. So, it is basically a high quality, ultra modern, customer oriented transit option that could deliver fast, comfortable, and cost effective urban mobility, which is quite similar to metro rail, although it is very cheaper than the metro rail. An obvious question that would arise in your mind is, why BRTS? Why not the normal bus system that we have in our cities? So, as you know, there are various problems associated with these bus system that we have in our cities. Basically, they are very slow, they are unreliable, their timing is not very frequent, and they take long way around. They are very uncomfortable and technologically backward, and often they are stuck in traffic jams. Whereas BRTS provides you the comforts and benefits of a metro system, which is they are very fast, regular, and frequent, travels long distance in less time. They are comfortable and high in terms of technology. It has universal design and very high capacity so that it can move a large number of people in a single trip. So BRTS is practically feasible when there is an urgent need for efficient mass transport system. The scope for both low density and high density passenger movement is available with BRTS, and you have a low cost transit solution because it is much cheaper than metro train, less time for planning and construction of a BRTS system, and higher speed with little delay for buses. Basically, Bus Rapid Transit System owns its name to Rail Rapid Transit System, which describes a high capacity urban public transit system with its own right of way. Similarly, BRTS uses buses on a wide variety of right of ways, including mixed traffic, dedicated lanes on surface streets, and busways separated from traffic. So, if we see the history of BRTS in India, Pune was the first city in India to experiment with the bus rapid transit system, and the total project was of 16.5 kilometers. It was from Pune to Satara Road using some air conditioned 500 Volvo buses. Thereafter, it was implemented in various other cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Ahmedabad, etc. Now, the characteristics of this BRT system, so the vehicles are basically very much like trams, and they have recent technological developments such as bi-articulated buses that have two coaches interlinked together, and guided buses have benefited the setup of BRTS systems in India. The main developments are improved riding quality, increased capacity, and reduced operating cost. A specific image with a brand name. So basically, in Ahmedabad, you can see this BRTS that they have called Janmarg. So it has a brand name, and people often find it more luxurious taking this BRTS rather than driving their own cars. Then level boarding. Many BRT systems allow floored buses, which are having low deck, so that passengers can easily board them. And it also increases the accessibility for the specially enabled passengers. And you have some very luxurious stations also for these BRTS systems that feature significant investment in enclosed stations, which may incorporate attractive sliding doors, staff ticket booths, information centers, and many other features that are essentially the part or characteristic of a metro. So these BRTS systems have a separate running ways that separate it from the other vehicular traffic that is there on the road. So they have a self-dedicated routes for themselves, and they are accessible, safe, secure, and attractive stations. They are easy to board and are environmentally friendly vehicles, so they cause less pollution. They are efficient fare collection system. So you have these integrated fare collection systems that you can use on these buses also and other modes of transportation also. Its application to provide real-time passenger information, signal priority, and service command and control. And the frequency of these bus services is all day long. The other main features of BRTS are at grade bus lanes preferred for increasing commuter access, operational flexibility and reducing costs, priority for bus at intersections, urban low floor buses so that there is good accessibility, and properly designed bus shelters for safe boarding and alighting. Then pedestrian facilities along and across the movement, and intermodal integration through single ticketing for seamless travel. So you have an integrated ticketing system that will work for other modes of transportation also. So as part of the main feature of this BRTS system, here I would like to mention one specific thing also, that is the integration of land use with transportation system. Because whether it be a bus rapid transit system or a metro rapid transit system, in all the cases of rapid transit system, integration of these transport systems with the land use is very important, because the if the land use is not supporting these transit system, then the ridership will be affected, and vice versa. If the transportation system is not supporting the land use, then the feasibility of those land use will also be affected. Here are the various principles of BRTS. Firstly, to move people as effectively as any other rail transit system. Secondly, to fully utilize existing roadways, right of way, and station sites that are already present in the present network of road transportation system. Take advantage of available technologies, that is the use of smart card for fare collection, and then GPS for automatic vehicle location, then passenger information systems, signal priorities. Similarly, applying the incremental system development based on demand and funding, maximize operating flexibility. And the basic principle underlying this BRTS system is the changing the mindset of this bus transit from conventional bus fleet operations to the state of art transit system that are more convenient, reliable, attractive, and comfortable. The components of BRTS: a BRTS system combines flexible service and new technologies to improve customer experience and reduce delays. While specific BRTS applications vary, the components may include running ways, that is the right of way that is used, or the dedicated lanes that are used for BRTS, then the vehicles or the buses, what we call as the stock, then the stations that are very luxurious and convenient for the passengers, the route structure and schedule, including the frequency of buses and the scheduling of these buses. Then the fare collection, which includes integrated ticketing systems for various modes of transportation, and other advanced technologies like the GPS for locating the buses, and the commuter information system, etc. Types of running ways. So, based upon the grade separation and lateral segregation from the general purpose traffic, we have these three types of running ways, that is separate running way, freeway, and urban street. So, the first one, that is a separate running way, is a very most developed form of the busway, and it consists of road or guideway to be built on its own alignment. It can include both at grade and grade separated intersections with cross streets. So at grade means at the same level as the normal traffic, and grade separated intersections means that where these buses will be going, that intersections will have different height than the normal traffic will be having. Then another method of separate running way is to develop a guided track using curb or any other low heighted barrier on the outside of the track to help steer the vehicle or bus. It is then referred to as the guideway. So you can see that in the illustration. So the next type of running way is the freeway, which is built within the limits of the cross section of a freeway, either as part of new construction or existing. So if you have a freeway, you can build a freeway running way for this BRTS system along with that freeway. The running way geometry will obviously be controlled by the geometry of the freeway for the general traffic lanes also. And the running ways can have one of the three forms. The first is a median busway, second is the HOV lanes, and third is the shoulder. A median busway is basically a dedicated bus facility in the median area. Median area is basically the divider area that you call as the divider. So you have a separate lane that is physically separated from the other traffic in which these buses go along. Then you can also have these buses in the HOV lanes. These are the high occupancy vehicles lanes. So a freeway that is shared with these high occupancy vehicles on either sides or the outer lanes of the freeway. The third type of running way for BRTS is the urban streets. An urban street BRT running way is developed within the limits of the roadway cross section. So it is part of the normal right of way for a particular arterial road. And the running way has one of the three forms, that is the median busway, bus lane, and the mixed use lane. Median busway is again a dedicated bus facility in the center of the road at the median area, which could be physically separated from the other traffic. Then a mixed use lane can be both used by the transit and the general traffic both. The constrained corridors uses routes that are limited in width located along the routes or constructed adjacent to or within the developed area. So in the diagram below, we can see that for BRTS or the bus lane, the preferred dimension would be 12 feet, whereas the constrained dimension is of 11 feet. Similarly, for the shoulder, we can see the preferred dimension is of 4 feet, whereas the constrained dimension is of 2 feet. Here you can see two figures for two-way median busway, that is a typical cross section. So in figure 8 you can see that the median way is totally utilized for the BRTS, whereas in figure 9 you can see that there is a small median between those two BRTS lanes. In figure 10 you have two-way median busway, that is a typical cross section at the station where you have a single median way and bidirectional buses can pass each other at various times. In figure 11 you have a bidirectional one lane median busway, that is a typical cross section of mid block. So in this type of busway only a single bus will be able to commute at a particular time. Implementation of BRTS in India. So currently India is having a number of operational BRTS systems and many more are under construction. So the existing BRT systems with segregated lanes are in Pune, Ahmedabad, Delhi, Jaipur, whereas the existing BRT systems that are without segregated lanes are in Mumbai and Indore. And some BRT systems that are still under construction are at Rajkot, Surat, Indore. So here is the famous Janmarg BRTS system of Ahmedabad. It is a bus rapid transit system for Ahmedabad and it is operated by Ahmedabad Janmarg Limited, which is a subsidiary of Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation. And it is designed by CEPT University. And in Gujarati language, Janmarg means people's way. So this is a BRTS terminal for a median way BRTS system, that is a dedicated lane at the center of the road that is dedicated for these BRTS buses. So here you can see that it is kept at grade so that you can use these low floor, low deck buses so that the accessibility to these buses is very convenient. Then you have these route structure and schedule where you get the information relating to the fares, routes, timetable, and the frequency of operation. Then you have these fare collection systems that comprises of these integrated smart cards that you can use for paying the fare of not only the BRTS but also for other modes of transportation also. Now the merits of the BRTS system: bus only right of way so that you are not stuck in traffic jams, level boarding so that it is comfortable for you to board and alight from these buses. It saves times and energy. It is environmental friendly. And the operational cost is efficient, and reduction in accident rate. It helps in urban rejuvenation in the terms that if it is well integrated with the land use, then it helps in rejuvenation of the land use itself. Then capital cost effectiveness is the overall merit that it is much more cost effective than the other modes of rail transport. Then you have a few disadvantages also for the BRT systems, like grade separated transit way might have the highest capital cost that would be incurred in setting up this BRT. An appropriate right of way throughout the corridor may not be attainable. You might have to acquire land for that. Then bus operations are impacted in general by the traffic conditions also. The next important mode of transportation under the urban rapid transit system is the metro train, which is a part of rapid rail transit system. It is a high capacity transit system which has low air pollution, although it is high in noise pollution, but it has a good speed of around 25 to 60 kilometers per hour, and the overall costing of the project is high. So in India, we have a few cities where we have full-fledged metro system like Kolkata, Delhi, Gurgaon, Chennai, Bangalore, and Mumbai. Whereas in other cities like Jaipur, Navi Mumbai, Hyderabad, Kochi, Lucknow, Ahmedabad, and Chennai, the work is still in progress. And 17 more cities are coming up with plans for metro like Bhopal, Indore, Kanpur, etc. One of the most feasible metro systems in country has been the Delhi Metro. Delhi Metro was formed under the Delhi Metro Rail Corporation, and the construction started in 1998, and it commenced the services from 24 December 2002. Today, Delhi Metro is one of the largest metro networks in our country. It is serving around 140 stations with a total length of 193 kilometers. So, as we all know, that the traffic situation in Delhi was very chaotic before starting of the metro rail, and the straight-run private buses were overcrowded, ill-kept, and very uncomfortable, especially for the women. After the introduction of metro rail, the metro railway has resulted in reduced consumption of fuel containing hydrocarbons, and a study claims that it has resulted in emission savings of 2,275 tons of hydrocarbons. These savings are likely to go up in future, and people in the city have saved around on an average 66 minutes every day by traveling to and fro by metro rail, which has resulted in boosting the economy of the overall system. Now, as far as the operational characteristics of metro system are concerned, a metro is a fully automated rail-based public transportation system, and it consists of automated electrical driven cars with capacity of around 1,000 passengers on a network of guideways. Trains operate at a frequency of around 2 minutes 40 seconds to 5 to 10 minutes between 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. depending on peak and off-peak time. Trains operating within the network typically travel at speed up to 40 kilometers per hour and stop for about 20 seconds at each station. The power output is supplied by around 25 kilowatt 50 hertz alternating current through overhead catenary, and stations located on the sidings with merge and diverging points. This approach allows to avoid the intermediate stations. Merits of metro system: firstly, it is cheap. It saves a lot of money because the cost of ticket for riding a metro is definitely lower than maintaining a private car. Then it is environment friendly and it has lower rates of emission. Thirdly, you have the convenience. You can reach your destination on time. You are not stuck up in the traffic jams. And it requires around one-fifth energy per passenger kilometer compared to road-based transport systems. It causes less noise and air pollution. It is eco-friendly transport system. It occupies no road space if underground and only about 2.6 meters width of the road if it is elevated. It reduces the overall journey time. It is a very cost effective mass transportation system, and it reduces traffic transportation problems. Next, we come to the LRTS or the Light Rail Transit System. It is a light vehicle, light track system. Now, coming to the features of LRTS, LRT is a low cost, low axle load, eco friendly, and electrically propelled system. Light rail vehicles or the LRV generally have top speed of around 80 kilometers per hour, though mostly they operate on lower speed. LRT features include steel wheel vehicles operating on steel rails and are almost universally operated by electricity delivered through overhead lines. Grooves steel rails laid flush with road or may be blasted like normal railway tracks, making light rail the only system which can operate both on the city roads as well as on conventional railway services. They can negotiate sharp road bends of around 25-meter radius, minimizing the need for property acquisition, and hence it is very ideal for urban environments. And it can negotiate steeper inclines than heavy rails, and it shares operational space with other road vehicles also. Advantages of LRTS over other mass transit systems. So, from the consideration of commuter convenience, we can see that ad grade modes should be preferred as climbing up and down for particularly small trips is not necessary. Ad grade modes offer the best aesthetics as they do not interfere with the skyline of the city. Thus, ad grade BRT and LRT is the first choice for commuter convenience. Then, between LRT and BRT, the choice depends on demand level and availability of road right of way on a corridor. The capacity of LRT may go up to 30,000 persons per hour per direction without requiring additional road lanes. And secondly, as stated earlier, the LRT requires less road space, that is 2 to 3 lanes, rather than BRTS, which requires 3 to 4 lanes, because overtaking facility is not needed in LRTS, and only one island platform will suffice against two platforms that are required for a BRTS, one in each direction, obviously. So, after discussing all the three modes of MRTS, now we can conclude the advantages of urban mass rapid transit systems. The environmental impacts are low, social impacts are high, as in terms of safety, security, and convenience. Fuel savings are high, low emissions of hydrocarbons. Economic impacts are good because they are economically feasible, they can create their own revenue, and they are economically feasible in terms of cheap fares. Freight impacts, they can transport goods, reduces congestion on roads, and it saves times because you don't have to get stuck in traffic jams, and it is cost effective because you can transport a large mass of people at very low cost. So, taking the three aspects into consideration, socio-economic and environmental, it amounts to be a most sustainable mode of transportation. Opportunities in mass transit system, that is what all needs to be integrated. So, first is corridor integration, then pedestrian integration, then bicycle integration, other public transport system integration, paratransit or intermediate public transport integration, for example, integration of the feeder service, the feeder bus services, which brings you to the metro station, then park and ride integration, and obviously, as we have talked about before, the integration of transit system with the land use. Now, coming to the issues in mass transit system, its setup is incredibly expensive. So, the initial cost of setting up such a mass transit system is very high. Then there is a possibility of being attacked or being robbed. Then, although it's a automatic system, but malfunctioning of equipment may cause the disruption of service. Passengers may be attacked by infectious diseases, so passengers may pass on this disease from one person to another. And late night safety is not assured. Accidents may cause large casualties because more people are traveling at a particular point of time. Then there's change in time of certain buses may cause inconvenience to passengers. So finally, we need to understand the criteria upon which we will make a choice between these various transit modes or various urban mass transit modes. So if we need to choose for the metro rail, then the criteria would be peak hour peak direction traffic, that is the PHPDT, that should be greater than 20,000 people, and the population of the city for which we want to use the metro rail should be greater than 2 million people, and the average trip length could be more than 7 to 8 kilometers. Similarly, for LRTS, the basic requirements would be peak hour peak direction traffic on the proposed corridor should be less than 20,000 people, and the population of the city for which it is being proposed should be greater than 1 million people, and the average trip length should be more than 7 to 8 kilometers. Similarly, for bus rapid transit system, the peak hour peak direction traffic on the proposed corridor should be greater than 4,000 people, and the population of the city should be up to 20,000 people, and the average trip length should be more than 5 kilometers. So that's the criteria depending upon which we decide which particular mode is to be used. So students, that's all for today's lecture. I hope you have got a good insight into the urban mass rapid transit system. So till next lecture, stay safe, take care. Thank you.